Salut tout le monde, c'est moi, c'est Rassa, j'espère que tout serait bien, moi ça va super nickel. Aujourd'hui, on se retrouve pour l'épisode 2, on se retrouve pour la suite de, de Vampire. Et excusez-moi. Voilà. On se retrouve pour le deuxième épisode de Vampire. Et voilà, donc on va bientôt être au Pembroke Hospital. Ok, donc on sera bientôt au Pembroke Hospital. Donc là on va pénétrer dans le Pembroke Hospital. On se retrouve ici. On se retrouve... Alors, ta gueule. On se retrouve ici et du coup, je vous rappelle... Et du coup les amis, on se retrouve ici, bon excusez-moi. Alors, on incarne donc un chirurgien, il me semble que son métier c'est un chirurgien, il me semble. On incarne Jonathan Reed, qui lui, si vous voulez, son histoire c'est que, en gros, il veut trouver celui qui lui a donné ses pouvoirs de vampirisme. C'est-à-dire qu'il est mort et d'un coup il se réveille. Et puis si vous voulez, il s'est transformé en vampire et bien évidemment il a soif de sang parce qu'ils se sont pas bien et tout. Mais malheureusement, il a tué sa sœur, j'allais dire sa femme, mais non c'est sa sœur. Et du coup, voilà, donc du coup il essaye de chercher des réponses. Et puis nous avons rencontré le docteur Edgar Swansea, qui lui est un médecin lui aussi respecté bien sûr. Et donc évidemment un nouvel ami. Et donc qui sait qui est Jonathan Reed bien sûr. Et voilà. Alors. Ouh. Bonjour.
Oh, come on, you bastard. I won't bite.
Sir, please. You've lost too much blood. Calm yourself.
You think I didn't notice? Stop your staring and get me to an hospital, you arse.
Insult me again and I'll put an end to your misery right now.
All right, sorry. I am in pain here. My guts are spilling out onto the street and you're yabbering on.
Yes. That's a very nasty wound you've got there. Take my word, I am a doctor. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Name's Clay Cox. I'd appreciate you helping me to a better place, Doc.
Follow me, Mr. Cox. Let me assist you to that better place.
Excusez, hein. Je parle à un pote à moi. Alors, qualité de sang. Voilà, bah c'est la qualité de sang. Alors, la qualité de sang ainsi que la quantité d'expérience que vous pourrez... Hein, plus la quantité de sang est bonne, plus la quantité d'expérience reçue est importante. C'est-à-dire que lui, on appuie sur R2 et lui, il pourra m'offrir 500 XP. Afin de boire le sang d'une proie, vous d'abord le charmer pour l'attirer vers un lieu à l'abri des regards. Votre niveau de charme doit être supérieur ou égal à la résistance de ce citoyen. On va le charmer. Suce ma bite. Et du coup... Donc le chemin va nous montrer où on va. Il va nous dire où on va. Pardon.
Fuck me. Fuck you. I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
Pardon. Et voilà. Donc, du coup, bah voilà. Hein. Voilà, voilà, voilà. Alors, qu'est-ce qui se passe?
A life to embrace its most intimate secrets. Such a burden, such a divine sin.
Ok. A priori, pas grand chose. Ah, si. Ah, morceau de panier commun. Donc ça, c'est pour les armes. Ça, c'est pour les armes. Qu'est-ce que je voulais dire? Ah oui, non, c'est bon, j'étais en train de réfléchir. Allez, pénétrer dans le Pembroke Hospital. Oh, la musique, elle m'a manqué. Bonjour. Bonjour, Dorothy Crane.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I apologize, nurse. I needed some time to myself. This has been the longest and strangest night of my life.
You delivered poor Mr. Hampton from a terrible fate. The means to that end should be of little concern, Doctor.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you. Nurse Crane, isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reed. Your office is
Dr.
being
Reed.
prepared.
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
Je vais te poser des questions plus tard. Donc on va aller au Pembroke Hospital. Alors, inconnu, donc Hilton. Donc pour l'instant, on ne connaît personne, hein, bien sûr. Pour l'instant, on ne connaît personne. Et le but du jeu, c'est donc bien évidemment de, voilà, de les connaître, bien sûr, et de connaître les gens, de connaître leur motivation, de comment te dire, de leurs secrets. Et puis voilà. Alors, du coup, on va aller à notre bureau déjà, bien sûr. Hein, on va aller à notre bureau.
Dr. Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
J'aime beaucoup cette... Je me souviens de celle-là. Cette personne, je veux dire, pardon. Alors, qu'est-ce que je voulais faire? Faut monter, hein? Ah non, faut pas monter, c'est vrai. Parce qu'il y a son bureau à Dr. Swansea et le mien de côté. Ouh, si usé. Pardon, oh le ok. Oh, médical docteur Elwood. Ouh, j'ai un truc. Alors, âme 28 ans, docteur Tippett. Convalescent, 16 septembre, date de sortie indéterminée. Le visage du patient a été sévèrement brûlé et disfiguré par une bombe durant la guerre. Malgré l'utilisation des puissants sédatifs, il affirme endurer régulièrement durant de violentes douleurs, comme si ces flammes étaient toujours en train de brûler sous sa peau. L'examen des tissus ne montre aucune trace d'inflammation, d'infection ou de gonflement. Les cicatrices sont propres. Est-ce cas de dommages nerveux persistants? Le patient ne sait jamais de se tenir responsable de cette défiguration. Est-ce un cas de culpabilité de survivant et de douleur fantôme qui se manifeste comme une punition pour ne pas être mort avec ses camarades? Ok, donc c'est un secret donc sur Thomas Elwood. Donc on va essayer d'être plus puissant, enfin, c'est-à-dire qu'on va essayer de prendre un peu plus de temps, on va dire, voilà, c'est ça. It's locked. Oh oh oh. Tippett, Strickland et Ackroyd. Ackroyd.
This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes. Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin.
Ah bah quand même. Alors. Analyser le sang de William Bishop. Article sur les icons. C'est une occasion rare et pratiquement un privilège de pouvoir approcher un vampire et d'observer leurs caractéristiques physiques et psychologiques les plus intrigantes. D'un œil scientifique et rationnel, voici quelques-unes des capacités les plus fascinantes que j'ai pu observer ces 10 dernières années en m'entraînant avec quelques vampires ou icons, comme ils préfèrent s'appeler. Vitesse surnaturelle. Un vampire peut agir et se mouvoir exactement comme un mortel, mais l'œil aguerri remarquera que leurs réflexes sont bien plus aiguisés et qu'ils peuvent réagir plus vite que n'importe quel humain. À plusieurs occasions, alarme, surprise, besoin de fuir. J'ai pu voir un vampire bouger si rapidement que j'ai cru qu'il avait simplement disparu pour réapparaître ailleurs. L'œil humain ne peut pas suivre leurs mouvements lorsqu'ils se déplacent à cette vitesse, mais il ne s'agit ni d'une dématérialisation ni d'une téléportation. Il s'agit uniquement d'une vitesse surnaturelle. Pour moi, c'est un attribut presque félin qui leur permet de courir, esquiver et bien sauter plus loin et plus vite que nous. J'ai également remarqué que se mouvoir à cette vitesse les exténuait, qu'ils étaient donc sujets à des limites physiques. Mesmérisme. L'une des plus puissantes compétences d'un vampire puisse utiliser est celle de forcer un mortel à lui obéir. J'appelle cette caractéristique le mesmérisme, mais elle a aucun lien avec la capacité humaine à changer l'état mental de quelqu'un. Attends. Hop. Un vampire peut soumettre l'esprit d'un humain à sa volonté, voire le briser. L'un des vampires avec lesquels je me suis entretenu m'a même expliqué que plus un sujet résistait, plus les dégâts pouvaient être irréversibles. C'est comme si le vampire pouvait fracturer la psyché de sa cible. Ce même vampire m'a également expliqué que cette compétence nécessitait un long apprentissage et que les résultats pouvaient largement varier d'un sujet à un autre. Implanter un faux souvenir, en effacer un douloureux. Les possibilités sont aussi vastes que terrifiantes. Conscience du sang. Cette caractéristique de vampire est peut-être la plus terrible de toutes, car c'est la principale cause des tragédies qui surviennent entre nos espèces. Les vampires ont soif de sang. Ils doivent faire preuve d'une grande maîtrise. De même, pour ne pas sauter comme des bêtes enragées sur la première goutte de sang venue. Oh putain. Pour ne pas sauter comme ils ont besoin de sang pour opérer et pour utiliser leur pouvoir surnaturel. Un vampire affamé peut être très affaibli, mais s'il ne peut pas mourir de soif ou de faim, Ce désir, ce besoin de sang, explique pourquoi les vampires y réagissent avec autant de force. Un vampire m'a avoué que le sang pouvait parfois l'aveugler, lorsque son odeur et son attrait devenaient trop puissants. Lorsqu'il se lorsqu'il se concentre, un vampire peut pratiquement voir le sang autour de lui. C'est exactement ça, à l'intérieur des corps, à proximité, à travers les murs, mais sur une arme pourtant propre, etc. Ce même vampire m'a même dit qu'il était capable de percevoir si un mortel avait un sang pur ou bien contaminé, ce qui lui permettait de sentir des malades, des vêtements ou même des maladies, des vêtements ou même des objets infectés dans une pièce. Si cela se révèle vrai, les possibilités d'application médicale de ce pouvoir sont tout simplement incroyables. Note qui est sur le verre. Là c'est quoi ça? I need water. Alors, artisanat, analyser, échantillon de son de William Bishop. Nous avons des ingrédients pour améliorer l'une de vos armes. Quelle? Laquelle je prends? Main gauche, arme. Celle qui fait plus de... Allez. C'est bon ça. Nickel. Enfin, il va falloir que je change. Du coup. Voilà. Puis user. Il n'y a que ça, hein, de toute façon.
Stable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night.
I can feel it. You feel it? Do you feel it? Ah ouais? Il est où ton soleil? Non, je plaisante, c'est fermé. De toute façon, tout contact avec le soleil, le brûle de toute donc... Alors, c'est parti. Alors, attends, j'ai vu un truc. Tout remplir. Non, j'ai rien. Hein. C'est parti. Alors. Donc voilà, le premier... la première, on va dire, journée, c'est très bien passé. Hein. La première soirée, je veux dire. Compétences actives. Qu'est-ce que je vais bien pouvoir mettre? Endurance ou santé? Bon, on va mettre santé, parce que moi, franchement, la santé, pour moi, c'est très important. Tu vois, hein, toi-même, tu sais. Voilà. On va essayer d'être un peu économe, on va dire. On va essayer d'être un peu économe. Voulez-vous annuler? Non. Comme ça, la nuit suivante. Du coup, événement majeur dans le quartier. Chaque nuit, les conséquences de vos actes peuvent améliorer ou dégrader la situation sanitaire du quartier. Celle-ci peut aussi se détériorer si des maladies se propagent parmi les citoyens. Ça qui est bon, ça j'adore. Événement majeur dans le quartier. Plus vous tuerez les citoyens, plus un quartier deviendra insalubre. Si la situation sanitaire d'un quartier tombe sous le seuil critique, le quartier plongera dans le chaos. Il appartient qu'à vous de décider du sort du quartier. Donc du coup, le petit, lui, il est mort, celui que j'ai tué. Donc je vous rappelle tout ça. Donc là, c'est tout l'hôpital que j'ai. C'est tout ça. Lui, je le connais. Parce que j'ai, je sais qui c'est, Thomas Elwood, parce que je suis tombé sur un dossier médical sur lui. Après, bien évidemment, il faut que j'aille voir les autres. Alors après, il y a Monsieur le citoyen, bien sûr. Faudrait que j'appuie dessus, mais voilà.
I'm to stay here until my research is complete. I'd better learn to hide my true
Blouse
nature
blanche.
from mortals. What about my thirst for blood?
T'inquiète, ça va aller. Bonjour.
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
What type of hospital are you running? No antiseptics?
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this epidemic, supplies have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drug
S'en bat les
shortage
couilles.
was a daily problem. We had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large
Morgue.
building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
Ok,
The
chef.
abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
Merci, madame. Oui. Bon. On va rencontrer des gens. On va rencontrer les gens, on va voir comment cela se passe, bien sûr. Alors, le docteur Swansea, lui, il a niveau mental, il est bon. Hein. Enfin, niveau mental. Ah oui, hein. Un niveau charme, je veux dire. Donc lui, putain, c'est lui aussi, lui si vous voulez, vu que c'est un personnage important, c'est vrai que il a il a un niveau de charme assez conséquent. Donc franchement, moi je parle en général. Est-ce que c'est une bonne idée de l'attaquer? Est-ce que c'est une bonne idée de le bouffer, de bouffer son sang et tout? Parce que franchement. Déjà, je sais même pas, déjà, franchement, je trouve, je m'attache vraiment à ce personnage. Hein. Bonjour, mademoiselle.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital.
Le chirurgien.
And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon.
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Ouh. Deux indices requis.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is
Tu
it
as
like?
devant toi un vampire.
I can
Un vrai
feel my
vampire.
body
Donc
crumble
franchement,
from the inside as my flesh cracks and
dans un
fades.
carotte, une public.
I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howard?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The
Jules
affected patients
Cotard.
are
Jules
delusional.
Cotard.
They believe that they are putrefied, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say?
Oh,
Sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howard?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want.
vas-y.
As a
Hein.
woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal, but do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Who are these enemies you mentioned?
Mauvaise cible.
Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure, but I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
Question personnelle.
Who are you really, Miss Huckroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
It was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
D'accord.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark.
Oh, Reine de la Nuit. A bientôt, parce que j'ai encore des choses à vous dire. On va aller par là. Oh, Mister, comment vas-tu?
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by them.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Chirurgie pourrait vous aider, vous ne pouvez pas vous cacher éternellement.
You know you can't hide forever. One day you'll have to face your loved ones. Until that day, you have no chance of real recovery.
My friends all died in the trenches. It's shameful enough to be alive with these stupid scars. I don't want my children to see me like this.
Autre indice.
Tell me
Disponible.
what really happened.
I went with a whore in Rouen.
Run.
Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole.
Avec une prostituée, hein.
There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch
Oh
never
la
woke
pute.
me up.
Ah mais justement,
Left me to
c'est
burn.
pas une insulte. Putain. Ouais, connasse quoi. Alors.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense.
Oh the shit.
I was pushing.
Oh the
too
shit
much.
man. Oh
I
bitch. Oh
served in
bitch.
France myself. I just wanted to know what happened.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, so... No.
Pardon. Alors, à propos de la maladie de Madame de Miss Howcroft.
Where were you stationed, sir?
I really
No.
you.
How close are you to Miss Hallcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
Nouvel indice disponible.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of me blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
And it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
Parle-moi de ta famille, wesh.
You told me before you don't want your children to see you like this. Do you have any other family?
My sister Agatha has raised me nippers since their mother died. Don't want them to look at me like this.
How could children despise their father injured in the war?
What do you think? They saw me once. My poor angels left the room crying. They keep on having nightmares every week, my sister told me.
Your sister's not a child. I'm sure she has nothing but respect for a wounded soldier, and you are her brother.
You don't know my sister Agatha. She may
Agatha
be young, but
Christie.
she's all discipline and morality. If she ever found out what really happened,
She doesn't have to know.
she's a sly one, my sister. One day she'll find out the truth and knock 7 bells out of me. Nah, I'm better off here.
J'ai plus rien à te dire.
Goodbye for now, Mr.
Ah bon.
I wish I could be sick again. Blood boil with the fever.
D'accord.
Damn.
Good evening.
On va juste voir au niveau charme. 1 et 1, donc lui je peux le faire.
Soldier, do you need assistance?
I'm fine. Just do something for this pain, will you?
D'accord.
Goodbye for now.
Niveau 4, ça qui vient. Bonjour madame.
But the suffering continues.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Ah.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
How long have you been a nurse?
Or long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You'd be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
Question personnelle, fais voir. Nickel. Au
Goodbye,
revoir.
Nurse Hawkins.
Attends.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke. Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice. nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
What is the general situation within the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show.
Edwina.
With the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Ok.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Encore. Oh
Hello
putain.
again, Dr. Reed.
Ouh, pardon.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton.
Alors, pénétrer dans la vieille morgue à découvrir qui espionne Thelma.
With the fever.
Pippa Hawkins. On va aller de l'autre côté. Bonjour. 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 Foutu ok.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed, yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd.
Waverly
Welcome
Ackroyd.
aboard, I suppose.
Does my
Waverly.
arrival inconvenience
J'arrive pas
you
si à
in some way, Doctor?
prononcer.
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swans's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Garde ma tenue.
If you have a
Doctor.
problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
You are going to change your tone with me, my dear colleague, and very quickly.
I don't think so. Perhaps you think yourself protected by Dr. Swansea, but I am still a free man, and I will speak to you the way I want.
D'accord.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as Any good practitioner should express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
I don't see any reason why I should justify my actions to you.
That's true, Dr. Reed. The only judge has to be yourself. The question is, are you judging yourself hard enough?
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd.
Il va pas faire le malin très longtemps, lui. C'est bon.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Coucou toi.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Ackroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later. Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed.
Strickland.
Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's...
Elle commence déjà à l'attaquer comme ça.
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed.
Voilà, c'est ça, c'est sur la transfusion sanguine.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time.
Ouh. D'accord. Nickel.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Hmm.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. That does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
C'est bon.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Oh. Alors, Ackroyd. Bonjour.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Ce que je veux, c'est toi. Ah merde.
What can you tell me?
Not much.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin. if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Oh.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Parce que je pense que le fait d'avoir un lit, c'est plus gratuit. Enfin, gratuit, c'est plus par rapport à l'assurance maladie ou je sais pas trop quoi là. Genre, tu payes pas avec ta carte bleue.
Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No.
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor
Oh,
and his
l'enculé.
patients have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't think I'm right about it now.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'll let you get some rest then.
Don't waste your time with me.
Alors, je vais aller dehors. Attends. Je voulais aller voir physique.
I will not let you down, my...
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army. Building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
Oh.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I had no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.